Hey guys, Deslato Gaming here, and I'm going to answer in this video the very complicated question of why do casinos keep ordering and leasing AP capable machines? What are they thinking? It's clearly a problem. Are they completely out of their minds? Why don't they just pull them all and then they wouldn't have advantage players? Or why don't they just kick out all the advantage players? Well, in fact, some do. Well, as you can see by the thumbnail, I sent my cat, Sylvester, on a quest through a mystical cave in which he gained 3 combat levels, then reached the final glowing oracle of all slot information. Just kidding, I don't have a cat, I'm allergic. But there's only one way to answer this question, because this is a rabbit hole and people keep asking about it. It's the number one most asked question on my channel by far, and I'm going to answer it the only way I possibly can. It's podcast time, my friends. We're finally covering it, and I mean covering all of it. There's really 5 aspects to this, and it keeps getting more complicated, weird, and interesting as I go. So hopefully you guys like long format stuff. I know on one of my channels, everybody wants super short videos, and on the other one, everybody's a trucker or a nighttime security guard, apparently. But if you're interested, this is going to be a ride. This is going to be so educational. So stick with me if you want to know the answer to the question of why don't casinos just do something about it. Stop buying the machines, start kicking out the people. Oh, it is not that simple. And they are already doing things about it, but what they're doing about it and what they're not doing about it is going to surprise you. And what they know and what they don't know is going to surprise you even more. So buckle up, because we're going on an adventure with this one, except you don't have to go through a cave and you don't have to defeat the final boss to meet you get it. You might also have gotten that I'm a giant nerd. So first, before I get into Advantage Play slots and why they keep ordering them, Ultimate X poker machines, let's talk about that. It's really simple. They can't get rid of those because they're too popular. It's just so fun. It's dynamic. Single line poker is boring. 10 line poker gets boring because it's just like, okay, whatever. So if you get like 11x or 12x in a big hand, a quad, another flush or house on top of it, that's like winning a small jackpot. People love it. They know the casino edge on it is like 1 to 4% usually. And that's way better than the majority of slots. So they would actually lose customers if they got rid of it. Now, the other thing is if I come and wipe one hand and somebody else is going to sit down and play 500 hands, I don't think they're going to miss the multipliers on 1/5 of 1% of the hands that they're going to play. That is a rounding error. Now, it certainly helps that I hit every single state on every single machine all at once and I haul in, $1 to $200. But I'm using the setups of like 50 other players, So if you distribute it all, it's just one hand, they miss one little multiplier, and sometimes they do start with other people's multipliers, but it is a blip on the radar. So it doesn't affect the player experience that much, and without it, people would be disincentivized from going to the casino because people love that. So as far as slot machines, why don't they get rid of Advantage Play, True Progress, Variable State, however you want to call it, slot machines? If all they do is cause trouble and, these people are stealing money from us. Well, one, the major thing you got to keep in mind is that if I walk in and wipe out a bunch of AP things that I quote unquote take $500 from the casino, I didn't just like cheat them. They aren't like out that money. So if I'm making money, but the casino isn't losing money, who did I take the money from? Well, it's the person who left the slot in that state. I'm taking money from a player that doesn't know any better, and that can be a problem. So at the end of the day, it is a 90% return to player machine, we'll say, because that's typically about what it is on average. So some other people play it, I play it, some other APs play it, and at the end of the day, they made their 10% on average over time. But the other players who don't really know how the machine works and thinks the progress is fake and the number is just a thing that, tricks you into keeping playing, which they're not far off on the other 90% of slots, I'll tell you that. Fake progress is everywhere. I don't blame them. They just didn't know any better, and all of a sudden they don't know that they're playing a machine that effectively with the state that they're playing it in starts at a 70% return to player. They get nothing, they drive up the number, and then they get off because they run out of money, they hit their floor, they aren't enjoying it because they aren't winning, whatever. Or my favorite, even numbers. Oh, I got to exactly this number, I better get out. Now, people who don't understand within about 3 seconds how Scarab works, that's on them. It says it in the demo, it says it on the screen, it says it in the help file, and it says it in the bottom right. And when it flips them all over, you got to notice that there's a big 10 out of 10, whatever. This is why you don't drink and gamble. But other people might leave like a 21 on Magic Treasures Dragon, and either they're like, wow, nothing is happening, I'm getting off this slot, it's awful, must have astronomical odds, which they're not wrong. Or they get like a big, blue free games bonus, and they win like $400. And they're like, whoa, I'm not going to press it. Everybody says, don't give it all back. If you get a jackpot, jump off. That number is just a teaser. It doesn't mean anything. And I'll be honest with you, 6-7 years ago, I thought every single machine is lying to me, and they're all what I like to refer to as a work backwards machine, which means it comes up with a result and then it draws something on the screen to show it. So like in the case of Magic Treasures Dragon, aka Moneyballs, I thought, oh, so I just won $98, and it said, how can I show him winning $98? Oh, instead of a big line pay, let's just make all the little ball things in the top right go off, but that the progress meant absolutely nothing. Now, that game wasn't invented back then, but that's how I thought they all worked, because that's how I was taught they all worked. That's a myth that persists to this day. Very few slot machines work that way. Almost none of them, actually. Online, a ton of them do, unfortunately. But a lot of them are like, I hate to get into it, but like assisted state, true random. I had a nickname for it. It was like Mosaic something back when I was like into coding them, but or like you use like a fractal pattern so that it can't repeat, or like something with prime numbers or sequences. But then you like spiral them to like make something look random when it wasn't, and the only thing you're playing is the stuff that isn't the filler symbols. That's more like how the typical average one works these days. And I can point out a couple that absolutely don't work that way, but most of them do. In fact, next time you're in a casino, look for a Buffalo Ascension game and click on the little info demo thing. Read everything on there and let me know if one sentence kind of pops out at you a little bit. Just seems to stand out where you're like, wait, they're telling me that what? That's how it works? But anyway, ones like that. Okay, people love Buffalo games. They like that game, right? It's really popular. Look at all the stats. Look at all those wonderful numbers. The salesman told me that this is like the 12th most popular game or whatever. Look at the coin-in numbers relative to all their others. This is in the top 5% of the games they sell as far as coin-in and number of button presses. And so the casino goes, yes, I like retaining people and making money. Let's order those off the sales sheet. And then when they get them, they get this little spreadsheet report every month usually, or week, or daily. They can do whatever they want. And it says, okay, well, people played, $1,100 on this one. They played, this much money on that one. They played $2,000. They played $10,000 on each of our Buffalo Ascension. Hey, the salesman was right. People are playing this like crazy. I'm not going to question it or look into it further. And that's why the volatility went up on machines, because you're competing with advantage play long run stuff and mid run stuff. So if you're going to make like, I don't know, a Huff and Puff or Mo Mummy variant, and you want it to absolutely blow up, you need 1, really good design, and 2, astronomically impossible intervals between the stupid bonuses, and then make half the bonuses crap. Because then people are like, man, I finally got the bonus. I know from watching other people and from personal experience, it's like a 1 in 100, 1 in 200 spin bonus. But man, when I get it, that's that big win, okay? Why would I want to go put $20 in a machine where occasionally I win $5? I could name some. I want to win big, and they focus on that. And everybody, when I walk past that machine, is getting really big numbers. So that's why volatility is going through the roof. Just a little, I didn't want to make a whole video on that, but just so you know what's up. So how do you compete with that? Because everybody sits there and they play longer because they didn't get the bonus yet. It's really simple. Well, you just make sure that when Desolator walks into a casino with $1,000 in his pocket, and he's willing to play a grand total of absolutely none of it, but if someone does 400 spins on, I don't know, I'd say Regal Riches, but it's like 10,000. Someone does 400 spins on Magic Treasures, and then they get off, and he's like, wait, that's the number 21. Holy crap. And he jumps onto something he wouldn't have even played in the first place, sits there for as long as it takes. The anticipated go-off interval is like another, 350, just making up numbers. And then, oops, variance, volatility, it actually took him 700 spins this time because he's unlucky today. And, random number generation. Sometimes you sit down and get it in 5 spins. Okay, I've done it, you've done it, we've all seen it. Well, then you've got the coin in and the long run, long interval bonus, high volatility, high variance machine that somebody else played. And then for every time that they play it for an extended period of time, I come in and sit down and play it and like double it. I'm like matching their play with my play. And then it goes off and I jump off and the next person jumps on. So on their spreadsheet, it's like, whoa, we've got this, thing with flying pigs dressed as Zeus. And that one had 500 of coin in today. But that one had 10,000 of coin in today. That must be the most popular machine ever. Wow, the salesman was right. So that's what it looks like on the reports when they're like, whoa, is this profitable? Is it not? Is anybody playing it? Are people confused? Do they hate it? And I don't know about you, but in my casino, they have put in machines that they took out. They're perfectly functional machines, work just fine. They took them out after 2 weeks. When it's usually a 6-month to 1-year lease, possibly longer on number of cabinets, and they decide to either change the internal core, as they call it, changing the theme, to a completely different game after 2 weeks and the amount of staff that's involved in that, that must be on the dead bottom of their spreadsheet where they just put it in, they waited a couple weeks or a month and said, literally nobody is playing this. Like we have like $5 of coin in, or like people played $50 on this and then gave up. It's not flashy, it's confusing, it never hits, whatever. People hate it, take it out. This is just wasting space on our floor and it's making our customers angry. Get rid of it. That is why they have the report. That is why they closely watch the reports, and that's upper management looking at that kind of stuff. A lot of them at smaller casinos are, I hate to say it, inexperienced, naive, and unwilling to learn. Let's just put it real gently and give them those 3 categories. I've got some other descriptors I'd like to give them, but we'll refrain from that. But they're all collectively being scammed. Because they're looking like, whoa, this must just be like the best design slot. It's super fun. People just love it. They dialed it in perfectly, because how else would we be getting to this level of coin in? It's because of us. It's because of Advantage players. So because we're amplifying the amount of play, it's usually a long play machine. Well, there you go. That combines to be, it shows up huge on their spreadsheets with way more coin in than it should have. Because the average person isn't winning, and then I'm coming in and everybody else is coming in who knows this stuff to finish it off. You can see how that would be a problem. Now, what if casinos are like, oh, I see what's going on. You're scamming me. We're taking them all out. Well, that's the problem. Guess what would happen to those reports? Yeah, we took out all the top 50 most popular machines in the casino that had the most coin and the most play. And they ask why, and they're like, well, because AP, and it's artificial, and it's too high. And then the upper management would say, but was it making money though? Oh, yeah, it's a 90% RTP machine. Yeah, it's making plenty of money, yeah. And you took them out because on principle you don't like Advantage players and you think the numbers are too high, but it is actual coin and we're making a mountain of money on it. Yeah, you're fired. You just took our like $1 million a week and dropped it to $900K a week, and you call that an improvement, you're fired. At the end of the day, more spins is more money. Here's the problem with that. And this is why if somebody is like a math person, which they shouldn't even be in charge of choosing which machines go where if they're not a math person, oh my gosh, don't even get me started. In most US states, you cannot set a slot machine lower than 80% return to player. Absolutely, positively, almost no casinos do that. The reason is because they've read studies, they've read books, they've been told, don't set it lower than this or we will lose customers. You know, I think, oh, but it's a casino. People know they're going to lose. If they just lose their money faster, cool, get them out of there, free up the parking spot and free up the chair. Well, one, look at a casino on any average hour on any average day, weekdays, not even like Fridays or, an event, a concert, a sports thing. To say that they're not at 100% capacity outside of like New Year's usually, yeah, a little bit of an understatement. 95% of the machines are empty at any given time. Okay, so casinos make the most money off of absolute morons with way too much money or willing to run up debt or just play like an idiot. And the second gigantic group is the regulars who are going to come there once a week and blow $100, because they're retirees, whatever, or they just like it. It's their hobby and they don't, spend $3,000 on a boat or $1,000 on a plane ticket, or, I could go on. I personally have no other expensive hobbies, really. I mean, I own a couple guns, but that's about it. They come in, they give them a bunch of money. Sometimes they win. They tell people about their big wins and post them online, and they're a customer for life. Do you want somebody for $100 a week, or do you want to rip them off for $5,000 with every misleading scam possible and set all of your machines like crap? No. People, it has been studied over and over and over and over and over, will notice X amount of casino edge. There are books, there are seminars, there are, trust me, they have this dialed in. They have them set as low as they think they can get away with. Now, I know of a couple of casinos that'll set their stuff in the low 80s, okay? All of them Native American casinos, I'll just throw that out there. So yes, those are typically worse. On average nationwide, if you amalgamate all of them, they're about 3% worse than non-native owned traditional class 3, especially in Vegas. And before you say, I could name one where I know it's like 5%. A slot tech told me they saw the numbers and they set them to 96%. I saw it. Or you listen to other YouTubers saying, everyone I've ever worked at, they set them really generously because they're more about community and the regulars. Okay, so the average for native casinos, I think, is 87%. So if you know of a couple, and I know of a couple that set them at 95%, what are the other ones setting it at to get to the average of 87? Because if you know how averages work, it's not 87. They're setting them at 80. Who's doing this? Generally, heavy drinking, party culture, like destination style ones, resort ones. They're the worst. Anywhere where you travel. So they don't have regulars because they're in a city or town with like 5 to 10,000 people. Nobody plays there. They might have a couple regulars, but they're just like, no, there's a concert, there's a this, there's a that, whatever. And we have like 4 bars in the place. So people are going to come out here once every 6 months and be like, man, my budget's like $2,000, and they won't even notice because they're hammered, you know? Or they just are like, yeah, that's what you expect. It's a casino. I lost all my money, but I could have won. And then, some people win, Then it doesn't matter what you set the RTPs to. It really doesn't matter. They aren't going to notice. They won't be there long enough. They don't care. If it's a community one, it's mostly regulars or it's high competition and there's other casinos in the area, that's where you're going to find it'll push in the high 90s because they know people over the long term will notice it, and the really smart people will notice it really quickly. Like Wolf Peak, I just covered it. I am very certain that the numbers I have suggest that since you can order a cabinet with multiple return to player percentages, so you could say, do you want the 88% cabinet or the 96, or 92, 94? They usually drop them by about 2%. How do they get there? The traditional way to do it is hide it everywhere. Make the bonus like 3% less likely to go off, make it pay 3% less, and then remove 3% of the symbols to get rid of 3% of the line pays. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, but with Wolf Peak, I am certain that my numbers have told me from watching thousands of spins that they change the rate at which the wilds show up. I've seen people playing at casinos that I know are like 95, 96, 97% return to player, and then I've used simulators online where I know darn well they're setting it to like 97. And then I've played at absolute rip-off casinos where I know they're in the low 80s, and the amount of wilds I get is almost like 2 to 1. Like, it's not even close. So that's where they put the adjustment. Now, people are going to notice that. If you get a wild every 20 spins instead of every 30, people are going to notice that real quick. And that's the regulars. That's your customers. That's not the one-offs. That's not the destination wedding people. That's not the once every 3 years travelers. That's the ones who come in and give you money on a consistent basis that you're ripping off, and they're like, I don't go to that one, I never win. And, rumor gets around, some slot techs leak some stuff. That's the other thing is a slot tech can usually see the RTP on the table on certain types of machines because it'll tell them like what the different modes are. Now, they can't just go boop, boop on a menu and change it. It usually now these days requires like swapping out of an actual chip, like actual hardware. And some of them aren't even adjustable, but the people who get the reports, they know the RTP. The people delivering them, they know the RTP in some cases. The leasing companies, the executives. And what do they do if they quit? They start talking. They start telling their friends, don't play here. I know for a fact our competition is at 92, but we're at 85. Don't play here. And then word gets around. The slot techs can sometimes see a read-only screen that says 92%. Really, on a dollar machine? That's terrible. And then they quit, they get fired, they get pissed off, they tell their friends who tell their friends, and people are, even if they don't indirectly figure, wow, I never win at this casino, I've been there for 30 trips and I don't win, and when I go to this one, I sometimes win or at least get more bonuses. Yeah, they're going to notice. Trust me, they are going to notice. Those are the multiple ways that people notice. Because I know people in the comment section are going to say they'll never notice 1%. And the other thing that people don't realize is when you drop from 95 to 90%, people you might think aren't going to notice, 5%. Like, if the game is designed well enough, they'll just think they're having a bad day, or they won't like play 1,000 spins here, 1,000 spins there and compare it. And human perception is very, very biased unless you're aware of it, know how it works, and get around it. But it's the relative percentage. Every time on a 95% machine, and it doesn't work this simple, but on average, if I have a 95% machine and I buy in $100 and do $1 spins and I do 100 spins, on average, I'm going to lose $5. If it's set to 90%, I'm going to lose $10. That's not a 5% difference, that's a 100% difference. They just doubled the amount of money that I lose every time I loop my money one time. Spoiler alert, people don't loop their money one time in a casino. So even if you go from like a 10% edge to an 11% edge, that is not a 1% difference, that is a 10% difference relative to what it used to be. And people are going to notice. because their money will legitimately evaporate way quicker. So the only thing is, how much liquor, how often are the people here? Are we attracting a younger crowd and an older crowd? And are we mostly getting our money from like local retirees that come down every Friday? Or is it destination people? Because if it's destination people, set it on whatever you want. You can get away with whatever you want. That's why they do it. That's why they're different. And some of them are having financial issues, so they just crank them down because they have to. So why did I just explain RTPs in a video about why don't they get rid of AP machines? Because if I wipe out all the good states, all the random people who are playing it who don't know any better are going to see is a 60-70% return to player, because they're playing on the worst possible state where it starts at 70-80%, then it works its way up, sometimes crosses over 100, and then a thing goes off and they get a big win that's artificially bigger than it would be if it had static odds. Oh, that's the other thing. AP machines generate bigger jackpots because they can. Because they're variable odds, so sometimes they cross over so high that you're like, whoa, I got 50 free spins instead of 30. Whoa, look at this big win. And then it's like this big exciting win, and people are like, oh, look at that big exciting win, I should play that. Yeah, if a machine has effectively variable odds, then that's exactly what you're going to get. So if casinos thought they could get away with a 80%, 70%, 60% return to player slot, they would do it. So if they ordered it at 92%, the majority of people sit down and play it at 70 or 80%, and I jump on when it's at 105% and reset it to 70%, then people are playing at a 70% RTP casino. And people can tell the difference between like 88 and 92%, because that's a 50% relative difference. So if I'm making sure that they only play at a 70% machine, take a guess how often they're gonna realize that they're getting ripped off. And then you compare that to what they call the acquisition cost, or there's some fancy term for it, but like how much in marketing dollars it costs to bring in one person. So like, oh, we spent, $100,000 on this ad, that ad, this mailer, this thing, this billboard, this promotional event, whatever, sponsoring the local hockey team, And then that drew in 1,200 new signups. That's how many new people we got this month. Cool. So we take a survey of 10% of them. Word of mouth is this percentage, but the rest is marketing. We saw it and thought it would be fun. Cool. Yay. Well, that person cost, $37 or whatever to acquire. And then if they have a terrible experience playing at a 70% machine, don't know any better, I made sure that they are playing at the worst odds on that entire row among, 10 other people doing this. And then they never come back. You spent all that money acquiring a new potential customer. They had a terrible experience and they left and they never came back. And you just lit $37 on fire. So all of that is why you do need to do something about AP players, but nobody ever does, because then you're like, our top 50 most successful machines, I removed them. Look at all that money we just cost ourselves. But trust me, it's for the health of the casino in the long run. Oh, you better be pretty darn sure that everybody's on the same page with you then, and show them this video. Or don't, because I want to keep making money at Vantage playing. You do you. But look at the U.S. government. Did they ever in the last, 70 years have done anything where they're like, well, this is going to anger people and look bad on paper in the short term, but in the long term, it'll be good for the health? Or are they just like, I'm out of office in 4 to 8 years. I don't give a crap. I won't get reelected if I cancel this program just to balance the budget. I don't care if I deregulate this thing. That's somebody else's problem. I don't know if you've ever worked at like a business that's moderately large, but the board likes number go up. So if number go down and you have a perfectly legitimate excuse, you're really gambling on them giving a crap about your dumb excuse. They're just going to think you're incompetent and that you're on some kind of vendetta against AP players because you don't like them because how dare they take money from us? Nah. Even though they're not taking money from you. But then if you just listen to the whole video, they are taking money from you. So what do they do about it? Some casinos said, we're going to do the absolute bare minimum. We're going to put in like 3 UX machines, a couple of the absolute top most popular ones that people have been asking about that we know are like the top, but we're going to limit it to like 6 machines, okay? And nobody lives around here. Everybody from a big city's got to drive 30 minutes. If there's 6, 7 machines, you're not going to waste a half an hour of your drive time, then a half hour back, and then like 40 minutes of walking around checking them all to make $30. It's not going to happen. So if you go to the trade shows, you're a slot orderer, you're a mid-level executive, you're a top level, whatever at some casino, and you go to the trade shows and you listen to the little side breakout sessions, you're like, yeah, I've heard of Advantage Play. I want to know what's up with that. Some of them will just be like, you have to get rid of them. They're killing your casino. You set your RTP exactly where it needs to be, and they're driving it down on average, and they're pissing people off, and you're losing money marketing, and you're getting bad reviews, and they're the worst thing to happen to you ever, and you need to exterminate all of them right now. Tell your security to crack down on them every time you see them. Ban them, threaten them, trespass them. Yeah, about that, you can't catch all of us. You're just going to get the people like me that are as stealthy as can be. I could check a machine right in front of you, won't even know what I'm doing. If I want to go for the Emmy Award, I could be on my phone. I'll go boop, boop, boop. Then I'll read the rules. I'll just look like a new person. I'll act like I'm drunk. Every time I see eyes on me where I think they think I'm an AP player, I'll just play something that's not AP. I'll mishold a card on poker right in front of them. They'll be like, this guy held an ace on a deuce game. He's an idiot. I must have been wrong. And then they'll go about their business. I'll hire spotters. I'll hire shades. And you know what? If you crack down on the careless, stupid ones who just walk in and blatantly do it in front of everybody, and you're like, okay, get out of here, you're banned. More money for me. I'm just going to be there more often. I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to lower my efficiency, but I've got free run of the place because you banned everyone else. If you ban 90%, that's just 10 times the money for me. FYI, you're not going to get all of us. Going after the player is never going to work, okay? That's like going after cockroaches one at a time. If you want to get rid of cockroaches, either implement a system that nukes them all at once or get rid of the food. Because if there's nothing for them to eat, they're gonna leave. Just a little tip if you're a casino owner who's thinking about that. It's not going to work. Some of us are really good at what we do. And if you're about to say, oh, but I heard about a guy who invented some software where they can spot them and they could just send them all a letter that says you're banned, or they can cut them all off from any promos or whatever, people will just play without a card. I don't need that 0.5% in additional whatever. I'll just literally play without a card. Or better yet, they detect them based on consistent wins that are mathematically impossible. So they're just like, well, they have to be either an AP player or cheating, and they're playing slots, so they're not cheating. They're an AP player. Simple. Just how can you hide the fact that you're making money? And the answer is you go to True Progress stuff that has a must hit by 250. When it hits 247, then you pull your card. So it looks like I lost $900 and then I got a win, but oopsies, I pulled my card out. Personally, I don't do that because that's basically tax evasion, because then also your win-loss is artificial and you could write off more losses that didn't really happen. And yeah, don't do that. I don't mess with that. I'm just saying that if I'm Mr. Sneaky Boy, I am well aware that there's other AP players doing that. I've seen them do it. You ain't gonna find me on your top winners list, okay, if I know that that's how you're doing things. People will play with 2 accounts. They'll like double card. Like, yeah, trust me. No matter what you do to crack down on them, it's not going to work. And that was like the third major point I wanted to make for this video. So what do? If you listen to the people at the trade shows who actually know what they're talking about and aren't just trying to sell you a software suite, which has the data analytics skill of a toddler. Like, I think I could write that software in a weekend, and they're touting it like, oh, $10,000, but we'll save you $100,000. Well, looky there, it pays for itself. Ha. It's a glorified SQL query. Like, anyway, I'm going back to some software I wrote for a very large company I guarantee you've heard of, and I charged a hell of a lot less than that for the entire suite that they resold to other people, and it was more complicated than, hey, sort this data by a couple fields and do some basic little math to see what the probability is that they're an AP player. I think I could write that in a day. Casinos, stop buying this garbage, please. For the love of God. It doesn't work, it's stupid, and it's overpriced. Anyway, what do you do about it? If you can't crack down on them individually with security and by just watching them, and if you do crack down and they're from a professional group, they're going to get 100 people from that group, that little private Facebook group or Discord server or other place, to all leave you 100 negative reviews on your casino. Yes, they do that. And it's not going to be, I don't like this casino, it's not a very good 1-star. It's going to be, haha, the bartender called me a racial slur. They will retaliate. These groups, these professionals that are like part of like nationwide groups, you do not want to piss them off if you want to continue having a business. So if you crack down on them, they will retaliate. I am warning you. I would never do that. I'm not in groups that do that, but I've heard some stories. Another reason not to go after them personally. What you should do, according to the professionals, is limit your floor space to less than 8% machines. That's what they all say, 8 or 9%. Never go above 8 or 9%, because people will just play the other 91% of machines that have static rates. And then they'll be like, well, I never went on this machine. I got wrecked on that machine. But every other one I played at, I was fine because they have, a 94% RTP. So just mental note, don't play that one. Okay. And yes, that is a solution unless you're at a gigantic casino with 1,000 machines, because then, and that's why it doesn't work. You're not necessarily chasing away all the advantage players. You're just limiting how much money they can make, and that's going to dissuade, some of them. Because every time somebody looks up how to do this and learns how to do it, then that's more profits to split more ways. And eventually it just isn't profitable. And you get into this thing where it's not 50 people doing it, it's like 10, Or they go back to a different side hustle. People who used to do this, go do that. Used to drop ship on Amazon, now you sell on eBay. Well, you went to auctions, 2008 housing crash. COVID, bunch of failed businesses. That was my hustle. Go to all the bankruptcy auctions for the businesses, buy the stuff that people aren't interested in, and flip it for a ton of money. Obviously electronics, computers, speaker systems, it's the kind of stuff I know about. I know, you're shocked. I am a massive geek. Estate sales, all that, get up at 6 a.m., drive real far, borrow your brother's big car, and it's effort, but you want to make $2,000 in a day. That was hot back then until everybody started doing it. Unpaid storage auctions, where they just sell off storage auctions blind. That was great until somebody made a show about it, and now everybody wants to do it. You gotta go where people aren't if you're just looking for a side hustle, okay? That's why this channel isn't about, here's how you become a top tier AP player, because I can tell you some tips that'll, well, I'll give you an example in a second, but the point is, this is for, hey, we're taking it back from those douchebag degenerates who are too disruptive, obnoxious, and entitled. They've got bad attitudes. They're too lazy to work. They enjoy hitting the casino, then day drinking while playing on their Xbox, okay? It's a type, you've seen them, trust me. They're like, I'm an entrepreneur. I own 5 small businesses. And then you look at their $3,000 car with the muffler dragon and their shirt with the holes in it. And you're like, yeah, you must be really successful. You're trying really, really hard to not get a job and be a member of society like a normal person. Not that I would, ever recommend that, just saying. As a serial entrepreneur myself, but at least I'm smart about it. But you got to go where the money is. You can't go where the money isn't, okay? It's just, this channel is for people who are already at the casino who want to get ripped off less by the casino. And you're just like, oh, look at that state, but then you go play what you want to play, or just, I'm going to make $30 and it's kind of fun. It's like a little dumb hobby. It's like entering a fishing tournament where the top prize is $100, okay? You're not like, this is going to be my new life's work. Yes. It's just like, I went into the casino, I made $100. So now my hobby that cost me $100 a week, now it's making me $100 a week. And then I blow $50 every time on just whatever I want to play. And then I got a huge jackpot one time. Yeehaw, cool, love finding this channel. That's who this channel is for, okay? Not, you're going to retire from your job and here's how you scare away all the other AP people. In the past, I'll admit it, okay, I ain't into this gang mafia nonsense. We're going to break your legs if we ever see you again crap, okay? Because the RTP on that gamble isn't very good. Because I'm not risking federal charges to scare away one person that just cost me $100, okay? But, when we had free run of the casino, and there was really only one other individual person hitting it 6-7 years ago, and my crew is making $100,000 a year, and then people start coming in one at a time, that angered me greatly, not just because I'm a greedy, entitled person who likes to buy a bunch of stuff to show off and be an idiot and waste their money, because that's not me, that's never been me. But it's because back then I needed the money. I really need the money. Medical debt ain't cheap in America, let's just put it that way. Neither is business debt. So somebody taking my $30K from the cut on my crew and turning it into 15, I took that very personally, like you're taking $15K out of my pocket. But then I thought, well, what do I own the casino? Like what? I'm literally going to have to threaten these people so they don't come back, and a certain percentage aren't going to do that. And a very high percentage are going to report me to the police or security. So that would just be stupid. We're not going that route. But we tried some stuff that you guys might find morally questionable. I think I told the story, okay? So, I'm like, people are encroaching on our business. I don't like this. I'm not going to cut out one of you guys because you'll just show up here anyway. Here's what we're going to do if we see this person again, okay? Because, first strike, okay, whatever. We see somebody AP playing. Maybe they're visiting from 3 hours away and it's Thanksgiving. I don't know, whatever. If we see you twice or 3 times, now you're a problem. Now you're costing us money. Now we're not going to do anything illegal because that's stupid, but there ain't no law against just sitting there with a drink next to the pillar, and everywhere you walk and everywhere you go, we just are staring directly at you. Not saying anything, not doing anything, but not even blinking. I'm not checking my phone. I'm just chilling around. I'm not talking. We're just standing next to the pillar on the side of the casino staring at you. And it might make you feel a little uncomfortable or wonder what we're up to, or wonder, just wonder in general. Just be like, that's odd. That's weird. And also then check a machine right in front of them. When they're checking a bank real slow and looking up on their phone, remembering how to do it, check the whole entire thing and don't even look at them. Just walk up, boop, 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 hey, look, I'm faster than you, and then walk away. If they didn't get the hint, maybe bring your entire crew, where they're like, okay, they hit this one, they're walking, they clearly know the layout, they're headed to this bank of machines. Walk faster than them or take a shorter route. At a bank of 3, all 3 of us sit down simultaneously, put on our cards, lock up the machine with the reserve function, and walk away. Not that, oh, we're going to beat him to it, and haha, it's a race, let's see who can get there faster. I'm going to make money faster than you. Ooh, may the best man win. No, that's like, we're not even going to play it. We sat down, we could have played it before we saw we were walking. We just locked up and walked away. And we're going to let that timer expire. We're going to walk back after that many minutes. It sends a message. If they don't like the crowds, so they're like, hey, I got an idea. I'll just show up at 6 or 7 a.m. You know, I'll just, every Saturday, I'll just show up early in the morning. And then I get free run of it from the night before. And then we show up at like 9 or 10 and we're like, dude, there's nothing. That's impossible. Last night had like the highest turnout ever in the casino history. How the hell is there nothing? And it looks like people hit them all. Well, then we get 1 or 2 people from my crew to show up at 5 a.m., wipe out the entire casino, and then wait for the person. Wipe out every single thing in the entire casino. They know who we are. We know who they are. We've seen them 5 times, and they've seen what we do, and we've checked machines right in front of them so that they know that they got competition, and it might not be as lucrative as they think it is. And as soon as they walk in the door, walk out, and maybe wink at them, maybe give them a little smile, you know? And then they spend an hour checking everything, find absolutely nothing, and realize, oh, they're not going to tolerate that, and they're willing to try harder. And that just comes down to who's going to put in the most effort. That's who's going to be the AP player. We've had people that weren't really getting the message, so, and they weren't playing by the rules. They're checking machines right next to old ladies who are like asking them, hey, what are you doing? And they just ignore them and don't respond. That is number 1 rule. Don't do that, and don't do that. We had somebody walk up on our bank and check them right in front of us, so we're going, you won't find anything, we already hit them. And he's like, what? Huh? What? And like looked like terrified. I'm like, dude, yeah, there's other of us. You didn't just invent this, dumbass. I mean, that's just educational. And then they walk up to another bank of machines, and we placed a person there too. And one of the people on my crew goes, you're not going to find anything here either. And he's like, that's a different person. And they're smiling at me like some creepy, weird cult member. What? Then they go in the bathroom for a second. And on the way out of the bathroom, a third person from my crew says, you're not going to find anything in this whole casino. Just FYI, I figured I'd let you know, and then just walks away. That's not intimidation. That's not threatening. That's just letting them know what's up, Like there's 3 people who all know each other and they're all hitting the machines and they're willing to come up and say weird things to me. Maybe I should second guess this. We've done stuff like that and similar. I am a very creative person, okay? And when my money's threatened and I need that money or I'm looking at bankruptcy, then guess what? Now amplify that in like Vegas by a bunch of crackheads who need their next fix of whatever drug they're addicted to. That's one reason you do want to get rid of the AP players, but that's why I said get rid of the problem ones. Get rid of the ones that are making the other guests uncomfortable. Get rid of the homeless drug addicts. You do not want them for safety, for image, for anything, for any reason, anywhere near the rest of your guests. You don't want them resetting the RTPs to the machines as low as possible. That is who you crack down on. Limit your floor space to like, I'd say 5 to 9%. Get rid of the worst 10% of the AP players and you just won't have a problem. And don't try to crack down on 100% of them because like I said, you'll get 90% of them. And the remaining 10% are going to be real stealthy and real professional. And you just made them a lot of money. And I know somebody's going to leave this comment. What about the other solution that I just came up with, which is have their own employees go at night if it's not a 24/7 one after they close and wipe out all the machines themselves and then just put it in the machine's coffers. Mathematically, instead of doing that, why don't they just set all the machines 1% lower? If you're going to start screwing with the effective RTPs on just a select couple of your machines, why don't you just set all of them 1% lower and you wouldn't have to do that? Also, I'm pretty sure that's like illegal in most places. It's at the very least not best practices. And if you're about to say, well, why don't they just take all the advantage states and reset them? First of all, then nobody gets the money except for sort of the casino. And 2, that's illegal. You actually legally cannot do that. Most of the machines won't let you do that. And on anything with like a true progress or like a progressive jackpot, if you reset it, you find a way to do it somehow by like hacking the machine, shocking it, resetting it, maintenance. Well, yeah, there's all kinds of wacky stuff you could do. Congratulations, you just committed a felony and you just lost your gambling license and now your casino has to close or sell. Awfully hard to sell a casino if you're on a Native American reservation on account of the fact that, nobody else can buy it. So that's the problem. That's the solution. That's why they're not doing anything about it, because generally they're just being scammed by the leasing companies who keep making more and more variable state true progress ones because they look really, really good on the spreadsheets and the reports because they have more coin in, because people play it, they play it for longer, and then somebody else comes in and doubles it by playing it even longer until it goes off and walks away. You're pissing off an enormous amount of your customers because now they're like, I can't win. Yes, they do notice the difference in odds. And no, they don't always just go play a different machine. Sometimes they just walk out. So don't make, 25% of your casino AP, or you're going to get, like, that'll be the gold mine. And now you are going to get, 100 AP players instead of 10. And they're going to start bumping heads and bumping elbows, causing problems in the parking garage, the bathrooms, everywhere. Ever they think there's not cameras, some desperate people are going to start getting real stupid. And then you're going to need more security. Then people are going to see fights. Then people are going to see homeless people who are tweaking out on drugs. And you're just going to have problem after problem after problem. So limit it, or if it really bothers you that much, get rid of it. And when people say, hey, where's my favorite 5 slots? Oh, we don't have those because we don't agree with them. Okay, well, cool. You just probably lost more than you would have lost if you just let the AP players basically rip other players off. If you don't have any of the fun ones that people see online and on YouTube, then they aren't coming back. And you're going to lose money that way. If they lose all their money because AP people keep resetting it to the lowest possible odd state, then they're also not coming back. So you lose either way. Here's what amplifies it. Guess what most YouTubers play? The professional, real, big time YouTubers on that do gambling content on YouTube. I don't know if you've noticed, but certain YouTubers really like to jump on Buffalo Link when it's above about 800 or 900, 1,000. A lot of them really like to play Magic Treasures Dragon when it's not at 5. A lot of them really okay, I don't need to go on. You've seen this channel, but they know. If you have an audience of 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 people, somebody's going to send you an email. Somebody's going to be a friend of a friend. If you've been gambling for 10 years, you've at least heard of Advantage Play and maybe got some tips from some friends or from some other players that are fans of yours. They're like, hey, let me show you something. Hey, if you play this one, add this one, it's in your favor. So guess what they play on their channels? You can make, $1,000 per video while you're losing 900 in the video, or you can lose a lot less, somewhere between, mitigating your losses and, oh, look, I actually won because you play positive state stuff and just don't ever mention it. So then what do people see on YouTube when they just watch general gambling content? They see nothing but Advantage Play machines. So if you walk into a casino and go, I want to play Buffalo Link because I've seen thousands of spins, it's a bunch of respected YouTubers who are lifetime, full-time gamblers. They play that all the time. It must be the best slot ever made. It's not. I hate it. I want to play Buffalo Link. They're playing it because they're mitigating the casino's percentage and they know when to jump on. When they say, we felt like playing this today, what they mean is, look at that number. I mean, they're not wrong. They felt like playing it. It's just the reason's not random. So now Advantage Play games are overrepresented on YouTube by only the biggest people. And then people are like, well, I can play this one where I have no idea how it works, no idea what the volatility is, no idea if the bonuses are any good, no idea if the bonus is 1 in 20 or 1 in 200, or I can play this one I've seen before. So if you go into a casino expecting, I want to play the 10 that I've seen before, and your casino doesn't have any of them, you're walking out the door. And then you're leaving a bad review that says, they didn't have any popular up-to-date machines that people play all the time. This is stupid. They're buying the wrong machines. Worst casino ever. So you have to have them. That's what it comes down to. If you remove all of them, you're shooting yourself in the foot just because you want to spite 1% of your customers who are like, yeah, Advantage players. No, nobody gets one over on the casino, even though it doesn't affect their bottom line in any way directly as far as the gambling goes. So at the end of the day, the solution is you do want to crack down on them. You want to crack down a certain percentage of them in a certain way and limit your machines a certain way. Those 3 things are the pillars, and the majority of casinos, I would say in my experience, do know that. That is their 3 things that they do to make sure it doesn't get out of control. If it does get out of control and something starts to be a problem in various ways that I described, then they're going to take action. They're going to take out more of them, order ones that aren't, start shrinking it, start kicking people out, start trespassing them, whatever they got to do to solve the problem when it becomes a problem. Until then, all the seminars, all the books, all the professionals say, do this, this, and this, and you'll be fine. You're never going to get rid of them. And if you get rid of them, you get rid of the machines, you get rid of your customers. So you just got to have this balancing act, okay? And then they could do, side stuff like take all the AP ones and put them directly in front of the main security booth, where a lot of people wouldn't have the nerve to do that, or just yell at them and be like, hey, we don't allow play like that. And they're like, oh, crap. And they never come back. That's another tactic I've seen. That one's actually funny. I could appreciate that one. And like I said, I'm just going to bring a shade so you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just going to have the boys, the big fat boys, the big 6'4" standing right behind me so you can't see what the hell I'm doing. Or I'm going to dick around on my phone, watching the reflection until you're not looking. Like, I am pro level at not getting detected. That's how I make money the couple times I went to Vegas in places that I have heard are not very friendly to Advantage players. Because one, if I get kicked out, I don't care. I don't live in Vegas. And two, they aren't going to catch me. Three, if nobody else is there hitting it, then I'm there because all the money's for me then. Yeah, I made about 20 grand in Vegas in 3 trips. So that's the whole world. That's what we do. That's how it used to be. That's what the worst of us do. That's what the best of us do. And the best of the best of the best of us just give out the information for free because at the end of the day, if the casual people who are just fans of going to the casino start resetting them, then we all just average out together, okay? Then we all just drive away the wannabe full-time pros by just making sure that there are no positive states because we collectively keep hitting them. That's why I'm here telling thousands and thousands and thousands of people how to beat every single machine possible because it takes these just horrible people that I don't like, these full-time professional wannabe AP players, and it just gets rid of them. It just ruins it for them and puts the money back to the people, the fans, the lifetime gamblers who keep it real. We don't play outside our means, but we don't like getting ripped off. And if you're going to say, well, then you're the biggest hypocrite ever because you go there at 5 a.m. and sweep it. Yeah, no, I don't do that anymore. I make enough money. I do it when I film. Otherwise, certain particular times, like if I know there's going to be a big event, a holiday, whatever, I'll go there because that's just free money. You can just camp stuff. But other than that, it's like I could be doing, it reached the level where I could be doing something else and making more money. I could be creating content for my other 3 YouTube channels. I could be driving for Uber. I could be flipping stuff on eBay. I could be going to garage sales and flipping power tools straight at the pawn shop on the way home, you know? I am finding it boring and repetitive, but if I'm already there with my crew just having fun, which, believe it or not, I'm not that into gambling for fun. I'm not that into gambling in general. Personally, I'd rather like work on my garden or go for a walk in the woods. That may surprise some of you, but it's just never really appealed to me that much when I could just like go on like Facebook games and just like play them for free. Or I can just go on certain online websites that are kind of popping off lately with a nice little workaround. And instead of a $10 minimum on craps, there's effectively through, oh, you guys know, I could play for the equivalent of 50 cents and play $1 blackjack. Like that's fun to me, okay? I'm not exactly rolling in the dough lately. If I'm going to play something for fun but with real money, cool, but like I'm a big video game player, and if I'm like, hey, I just got this new video game, this new one came out, or this thing just went on sale and it's been on my wish list for 5 years, I could play that and have an absolute blast, like a great time. Or I could go to the casino and, you know, I'm kind of gambled out, honestly, with AP play. I know it's not in my favor. I know it's going to happen over the long run. I am just not a gambler. I'm not a big gambler. The only reason I got back into it after going there like 5 times with my friends when I was 21, I'm like, okay, I got it on my system. This is dumb. I won a couple, I lost a couple. I was hyper cheap, you know, hyper self-control, walking out with $20 and act like, yeah, I got 2 hot dogs. Hell yeah. 2 hot dogs and a drink at the gas station for free. Look at me. Take that, casino. And then just be like, nah, usually you get wrecked. That's not the normal thing. I got wrecked twice in a row. Okay, I'm never coming back. Whatever. And then when I learned about Advantage Play, I'm like, nope, we're going. And then I was making more than I was making at my other job. And then fast forward a couple of years and now it's enough people know about it that you can't do it as a full-time job. It's just that's the history of it. So if you're going to call me a hypocrite, whatever, at the end of the day, I'm just telling people how to beat casinos so that we can all collectively take it back from the douchebags, all right? Screw the full-time AP Unabomber-looking people walking in with their little groups and their calls and their crews and their hoodies up and their earbuds. Screw those guys. That's why I'm here. But that's the whole history of AP play. That's where it's at. That's where it was. That's my philosophy on it. That's why casinos don't do anything about it or do something about it, or when they do, how it works, what happens for them. Hopefully you enjoyed this very rare episode of the podcast that I'm totally not going to consistently upload, but once in a while to answer a thing or to cover a topic. And because on my other channels, people either want super short form or they absolutely love super long form, depending upon if they're a truck driver or work nighttime security. I noticed, I took a poll. So hopefully you guys aren't like, oh no, I don't know, 50-minute video, him just talking with no gambling in the background, what? But for those of you who are interested in it, because a lot of you are like into, like getting into AP play, want to know what it's all about, can it still make money, how much, what are the casinos doing, are they going to crack down on me, am I going to get arrested, like what's going on? Well, now you know, so share this with your friends, post it online, and subscribe for more good information. And if you have a topic for a future podcast episode, we'll call it, let me know, and I'll cover it. So, thanks for watching. Keep on that grind, everybody. Keep getting that hot dog money, and I'll see you guys next time.